I feel sometimes like what small level of fame I have and what we have, sometimes I feel like, like I could do more, but I think what I could do is almost like just disappear from the public eye. That would be doing the best service, because it's like not encouraging any kind of fame. You know what I mean? Because I think when we came up, it was like,
You're like, I'm canceling myself. You're like, see ya. Yeah. Can you at least finish this episode, please? What if this is the episode? Dwayne's like, you know what? You see my specials. I'm out there.
Right.
And you just slowly like just get off screen. Like, so long, guys.
Right. But
Pocket Party.
Pocket Party Podcast. It's my favorite podcast. The Pocket Party Podcast. It's my favorite.
And we're back, everybody. It's Darren Carter, the party starter, and I'm very excited to have back on the Pocket Party Podcast, Mr. Dwayne Perkins.
What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm chilling, just raising the roof. No one does that anymore. I'm bringing it back.
Don't you think like everything is? I'm not saying that it's happening so fast, but like certain things that you glom onto that you think, and then you're like, wait a second, no one's doing this anymore, or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. My the latest one was Fleek, and which I don't know, it almost had no meaning at all on Fleek.
Wow. I remember eyebrows on fleek is when I first heard that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that thing's on fleek. And then I kind of like, literally it felt like the day after I kind of like learned how to use it, it was done. It was like, we're not saying that anymore. I was like, oh, wow. I missed on fleek. I was enjoying it though.
Like, both you and I, when we text each other, I was thinking about this. We both said, cool. Like, I'll send you the link. Cool. All right, cool. We'll see. And that saying cool it's just a thing, I've been saying it my whole life. I think it seems like, but I don't know if young people now that are in school are saying cool, or is that like a, I
think cool is like, how can I say it? I feel like it's evergreen.
Stay?
It's evergreen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's okay to say cool. Yeah. It only changes how like the inflection might change, or how you I forgot to hold on. I forgot to start recording. Let me do that right now. Just recording the audio on my end, just in case. Okay. Yes. But yeah,
I know what that was. That was, you do that so it spikes, and then you can sync the sound. And
right.
These are all things I've learned during the COVID times.
Exactly. So yeah, I think cool. How you like now? Here's the problem though: is that cool is fine. The issue is that I say cool beans a lot, and
that's
going to be not how someone takes that. It depends on. it says a lot about them and about what they think of you. Because if they think you're being ironic, it can have a coolness to it. But if they think you think cool beans is still a thing, you know what I mean? But I'm being partly ironic. Just like when I say get out of the city a lot. I don't say get out of town. So if you say something snazzy,
get out of the city.
I'm like, get out of the city. And people always laugh. But I get it from Perfect Strangers, that show Perfect Strangers with Balky.
Yeah.
And he used to say get out of the city because English was his second language. And I thought that was hilarious, and it just kind of stuck. So
that's funny. I remember the first time I heard cool beans. I might have been doing back when I was doing a lot of colleges, and I was in the Midwest, and I would hear it a lot out there, and I was like, wow, cool beans. I wasn't really raised around people saying cool beans, so it was.
Well, it's really like cool. From the 40s or like 50s, or I think it's from the 50s, 40s or 50s, and I think so. When people say it, they're kind of like being retro, kind of. It's like it's like like someone with a handlebar mustache, just kind of that same.
Because my uncle growing up, he actually had a handlebar mustache, but he was doing it, the guy was, he would have lived, if he was alive now, he'd be in his 90s. So for him, it was it was cool beans.
Right, right.
You know, I mean, he was, you know what I mean? He was a butcher at the grocery store. You know, he's Armenian. He lived in Norwalk. He was my favorite uncle. And
Right,
unless my other uncles are watching, then you're my favorite uncle.
Right,
But Uncle Joe, man, he just had that mustache and he was just a funny guy. And yeah, you know,
and he's actually the template that half the hipsters in the world now are copying.
Yeah.
You know, especially that like butcher thing. Like hipsters love bacon. If they're not vegan, they love bacon.
Dude, I love bacon, and I don't know what I am, but I love bacon. I do. It's like, you know, there's something good about like when you go to I love being in a diner, sitting in a booth and just hearing the ambiance. But by the way, I have to say, that was the first place that we went as a family. Like when things started opening up, my wife and son,
Right.
we went to a diner, and it was just great to look around and see people and with, you know, like their faces again, smiling, laughing. And,
Right.
you know, we were just looking at the menus and just, what are we going to order? And, you know, it was just great, man. It was, cause it wasn't like, you know what I mean? That's something I realized being a comedian, like diners are a big part of, you know, our lives. You know, you're on the road, you're by yourself, maybe, and you got your notepads and you got your pen and you're listening to your set, or you're just, you know what I mean? You're daydreaming on paper, and
Absolutely.
that diner, you know,
especially because diners tend to be open later, and that's where we congregate as comics. We congregate and, you know, discuss the show and things of that nature. And I miss that a lot too. And the thing is, like, and when I was younger, diners were great because I didn't have to worry about what I ate or eating late.
Yeah.
So, you know, now we have to kind of like navigate those waters a certain way, even though I still love my pancakes. But the diner is just a great, I guess eating in general is just a great way to, you know, commiserate and get together, you know. And I'm glad that things are opening up. It's kind of crazy. It feels like this whole year didn't happen almost. It's kind of weird, but it did, you know.
Yeah, and it's like we're already into the summer, almost July. Speaking of pancakes, Cracker Barrel is probably my favorite diner to get, or whatever that is, a restaurant to get pancakes. Because they're crispy on the edges and they're just so good.
Yeah. I love Cracker Barrel pancakes. Absolutely. It's I wouldn't say it's the best pancake, but it's consistent. It's really good.
Which one do you have one that you really recommend, or anything in the LA area that I can try? Norm's, perhaps? I've never been to Norm's for pancakes.
Norm's is okay. I mean, you can never go wrong with IHOP. Let's be clear. Some people don't like IHOP, but I think if you like IHOP pancakes, they're the same at every IHOP. So that's because the thing about pancakes is you can go to the same place 2 different times, and depending on how the guy felt that day, it's 2 different experiences. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the consistency. Same thing with Cracker Barrel. In LA, there's a place in Marina Del Rey, in the Marina, that I forget the name, but they have great pancakes. Maybe the best pancake I've ever had, but like real fluffy. And then there's Jumpin' Java on, if it's still there, I don't know what survived the quarantine, but it's on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City. But it's more about the syrup. They had like a different tasting syrup than I've had. But I really enjoyed their pancakes. I'm a pancake guy, but I've been sort of like drifting toward French toast, only because I'd rather have average French toast than below average pancakes. You know what I mean?
Great way to say it, because I've had below average pancakes, and you stop ordering it. You're like, I don't want, below average pancakes.
And calorically, it's just too much to. Same thing with calamari is like that too. Like every other time you get calamari, it's so good, but it's calorically, it's just a bunch of fried stuff. So
I'm laughing because the only time, well, I should say the only time, but the first time I had calamari, I was probably like 20 years old, and it was at a comedy club in Fresno. And you can imagine that it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good. And I was like, this is calamari. And so I didn't have it again until I was like 30 or something.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no, but calamari pancakes, these are things that, like, if they're not good, then it's completely not worth it, because even if you use sugar-free syrup, it's just calorically.
Yeah.
it's like you have to like like the thing about dessert. A lot of desserts are named sinful, delectable. It's like, and that's in the title is the trade-off, right? It's like, this is not good for you, but it's so good, that kind of thing. So
yeah.
if you don't have that going, then eat a salad. Live an extra year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Chocolate by death, and you're like, all right, I'll try it. And you're like, this isn't even good. Like, I just gained 10 pounds, and this is terrible. It's like, oh,
exactly.
Yeah. So we're starting our day out. I got coffee over here. I got just a nice a mix of hazelnut and vanilla. And I'm starting it out. I gotta ask you. So this morning I was watching your Dry Bar special.
Yes.
Because you've done so many television appearances, and I was like, oh, let me just see what's going on. I can plug something, and then I got hooked into your special, and the next thing you know, it was time to record, and you and I talked briefly before I started recording, and you asked me which special it was, and
right.
I find that amazing. You actually did 2 specials for Dry Bar comedy.
I did. And shout out to Dry Bar, like big shout out to them. And you even asking me about it. I think Vid Angel might be the name of the parent company, but you asking me about it is actually almost a message from God. I know that sounds crazy, right? And that's because, I find myself in life, you almost every day, but sometimes you're at a crossroad, and not, or intersection, you know what I mean? A fork in the road. Let's play that. I don't like the word crossroad because
sometimes you're at a dead end. No.
Yeah. Well, crossroad, people think like there's a guy with a fiddle. I don't want to go that way. No.
Me at the crossroads.
Yeah, none of that.
Yeah.
So you're at a fork in the road, and I feel like the Dry Bar thing, when I always tell young comics, and I've told friends of mine, is follow the love, right? And I've kind of lived my life like that, for better or for worse. And sometimes you should go after what you want, right? Other times you should like sit back and see what comes to you, And I'm a kind of a sit back and see what comes to me kind of way, even though I'm far from lazy. And I say all of that to say like the Dry Bar thing has been such a blessing in terms of monetarily, but also getting eyes on me and getting, from a promotion standpoint. And it's like helping sort of like lock in what my lane is, because I'm versatile with my comedy and I can be clean. Even I've never sort of like, it's never been my moniker really. But people keep telling me to be clean in a sense. Like when I first started comedy, whenever I was dirty, crowds would be like, because I looked so young, I wasn't, but I looked so young. And then my friend Dave, who did postcards for me, I didn't even ask him. He just did this great design, and it's like me, and it's really how people see me, or how he saw me at least. There's me, and these girls are hanging around me. It's like a black exploitation.
I remember
thing.
That one. I like that one. Yeah.
And it said he's clean. He's a mean, clean joke machine, or whatever it was. Oh. And so the Dry Bar thing has been just great in terms of like that fan base. But then the thing about a clean fan base is once you get those fans, they kind of expect you to stay in that realm. Like people don't want to see you on Dry Bar, come see you live and you're filthy, right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of like locks you in a sense. But I think in a sense that's a good thing. But the thing is, people also ask me, oh, what are you doing with your platform? I think they overestimate how big my platform is, but people kind of want you to sort of like be political. And I'm not that political only because I think the battle, and people think it's a cop-out, but it's not. I think the battle is always internal, unless you're getting like shot for no reason or jailed for no reason. If you're free and you're walking around, life is not going to be fair, but the battle is internal. And I don't mean like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't mean like don't complain. I mean like eat right. Don't drink. Don't overdrink.
Yeah.
Don't be in debt. Like these are the issues. Eating, like debt, eating.
Yeah.
Drinking. These are the real issues that we all that ails us all, more than even police brutality, more like, heart disease. Like these things are the things that are killing people more so.
How do you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? By the way, here I am acting with John Travolta in the movie Be Cool. Check it out. If you like this show and you want to show your support, every little bit helps. Go to DarrenCarter.com. I'm on PayPal or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic on Venmo. Also, I'm available on Cameo and also Jemmy. All right, let's get back into the show. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I agree. I'm like, what can we do for ourselves? And I'm gonna share this with you. Look at this. See, this is my daily. I put this out there. Every day I'm doing 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups. I'm like, but I started this a long time ago, but I sometimes won't post about it. And I sometimes won't be that, you know what I mean? Like when I skip a day of push-ups and sit-ups, I'll put an X. And then I tell myself, I don't ever want to see like 3 X's in a row. Like, I'm like, this ain't bowling, it's just to kind of keep me, because I figure we brush our teeth every day. What can I do positive for myself? And it's like, it's simple. It's push-ups, it's sit-ups. And it's absolutely. Just having this on the table, it makes me see it. And I'm like, got to do it. And I got to tell you that the hardest part is mentally, like even if you said, I'm going to do 5 a day, eventually you're going to be like, I'll do it later. But it's a mental thing.
It's all mental. And I think even though my comedy sometimes is clean, I think I challenge people, I challenge norms. There's things in there, and I just think like everyone was so crazy. And I know I'm going all over the place. I just think my platform is sort of like, be kind to yourself, which is maybe, but I think that's something that jives well with the whole dry bar situation. It's not like running or ducking from the issues. It's not giving them too much power. Like people think Seinfeld talked about nothing. I think he talked about nothing on purpose because I think he was taking power away from everything else. You know what I mean? Like I'll talk about losing a pair of socks because we all go through that. And at the end of the day, like if you watch the show Seinfeld was one of my favorite shows, they were kind of making fun of people who took themselves too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why everyone outside of this circle is like a weird, odd caricature. You know what I mean? And some people thought, oh, they're mean, they won't grow up. But I think they're challenging people. I think they're saying like, you're taking yourself too seriously. And we understand that we're just a speck of dust flying around the universe. So we're acting accordingly. You know what I mean? And so like, my thing is like we talked about bacon. I'm not a vegan or anything, but my mom went vegan recently and she lost a lot of weight. And so I'm looking at eating a lot less meat. Again, I don't want to like be like screaming from the mountaintop, don't eat meat to people. But I just think we have to take better care of ourselves. And I think focusing on external things matter, like systemic racism, all that stuff really does matter. But you in any case, you have to, before you change the cards you have to play the cards you're dealt. Yeah. And I think people before us, they played the cards they were dealt for better or for worse. And I think we get our cards and we're like, we don't like these cards. It's like, okay, but
yeah.
You got to play this hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How exactly got to play the hand? Like, how do you, what's that thing I've been seeing? I saw this great quote from one of the boxing coaches. I love these martial arts instructors, boxing coaches. I do too. Right? Yeah. Because they it's like they have a way of seeing something and looking at something. And I forget exactly what the quote was, but it was something like, it's not about the circumstances. It's how do you handle the circumstances,
right.
Whatever that thing is. Like,
I think social media has got us all, it's weird. There's this weird vortex of like self-centeredness coupled with lack of accountability. It's a deadly mix, and I think that I feel sometimes like what small level of fame I have and what we have, sometimes I feel like, like I could do more, but I think what I could do is almost like just disappear from the public eye. That would be doing the best service because it's like not encouraging any kind of fame. You know what I mean? Because I think when we came up, it was like,
you're like, I'm canceling myself. You're like, see ya. Yeah. Can you at least finish this episode, please? What if this is the episode? Dwayne's like, you know what? You see my specials. I'm out there. And you just slowly like just get off screen. Like, so long, guys.
but but it really
See you at the crossroads.
because but I really do think that sometimes because like where we came into the game, it's like the people that came after us, did we help them or did we hurt them? Right. I want to think we helped them, but but it's like
I think so. Yeah.
we came into the game where like you were doing your comedy, no one knew who you were, right? It was just rooms of people, rooms of 50 people at a time, and you developed your craft, and no one saw that. Like, and then maybe rooms of 100 at a time, and by the time you were on a show that maybe 1 million people were watching, you know, you had done like many iterations of this thing. And now, you know, you have the opportunity of being seen so quickly. You know, you can push yourself out to the internet, and if you do that, if you're good at it, and even if you are really good at pushing yourself out, and your product is good, it still can be a situation where you get that exposure before you're ready, right? But it is what it is, and I just think that there's no incubation period anymore, and I feel like people like me have encourage that because people have like there may be a comic who saw me on Conan and was like, oh, that guy's funny, but now they have all these social media outlets at their disposal, and they're just like so they kind of like get to where I was in half the time, which is perfectly fine if they're ready, you know what I mean, but maybe they're not ready. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Here's a great philosophy that not a great philosophy, but this is the way my son. He's a musician. He's 13. Mm-hmm. He's got whatever. I remember telling him, Austin, come on, practice makes perfect, and he said, no, it doesn't. Editing makes perfect. And I'm like,
wow, there you go. Right.
I know. You know what I mean? I got to tell you 2 more stories related to that. I had a friend. He said something like a long time ago, he goes, see, you comics, like you old school comics, like, you guys just want us to suffer, like get in our car, drive over here, drive over there. He's like, no, we don't have to do that, man. It's all about social media. So that was one thing that reminded me of what you said. And another thing, unrelated, a completely different person said something like, this is a while ago. They go, I've never seen you bomb. And I go, you know what? The reason that, I go, not that I couldn't happen. I said, but really, when I was starting out and for the first 10 years or whatever, there was no cell phone cameras, and it was really hard to get a camera. You had to pay somebody to come out, and it just wasn't the same, most likely,
Exactly. Yeah.
Like all our early years, there's not a lot of footage of those nights.
Oh yeah. And the fact that I've seen comics, not that I know personally, but I have seen this phenomenon where people are posting their first set ever, but but right after it would be kind of cool if you were cleaning out a storage closet or something, and you found your first set ever on a Betamax or a VHS or whatever the case, or what I mean, and then you got it converted and you posted it up. That'd be funny. But if literally you did comedy today and you thought the world needed to see it tomorrow, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. That'd be funny. There's probably someone watching this right now going, I think I have my first set on my iPhone 10.
Right.
Yeah, I remember watching my first set like maybe 15 years after, and I still didn't want to put it out there. I still was like, I don't want anyone to see this,
typically, right? Because then you don't realize how much you've grown.
Yeah.
And
I think maybe if a lot of time goes by, or you have a tremendous amount of success, then I might be more, or maybe whatever. I don't, you know what I mean? But that
exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
But getting back to the dry bar thing, I know there's a super duper. I digressed in a super duper way, but I just think from doing this thing that I thought was just like this Utah thing to like a thing that like dry bar is more synonymous with comedy, or as synonymous with comedy as like, stand up as Netflix is, really, for real. And I think that I had a special on Netflix for 2 years, and that did well. A lot of people saw it, but it wasn't a Netflix produced thing. It was something they acquired for 2 years. which I really appreciate. Like that was my dream. Do a special, have it be on Netflix. That happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But life goes on, right? And so you reach these pinnacles, and then life goes on. And I think the dry bar people just seem to push their products more. And now there may be a point where there's oversaturation or whatever, but it's still a very democratic process though, because I don't know if they push everything equally, but everything's out there, and they're pushing their brand, and and since they've produced them all, they're promoting them all. Maybe not equally, but they are promoting them all. I remember my Netflix special, Take Note. By the way, shout out to the Utah Jazz basketball team, because their theme this year is Take Note for the playoffs. And I know it has nothing to do with me, really, but shout out to the Utah Jazz for encouraging people that whether you win or lose, you should watch Dwayne's special, Take Note. Anyway, but like Netflix, shout out to them, and I don't want to get too insidery, but I remember when my special first came out, the guy at Netflix at the time, it was just like this, it was just an amazing thing where he had the autonomy, and I don't know if I could do the same thing today. And then when I was asking him to tweet about it, hey, can you tweet from the Netflix account? They couldn't do that because it wasn't a Netflix original. So I think sometimes in my career, I think I've reached a point where, okay, I can focus on one job and do it really well, but then I'm not at that point. Like you get, especially on Netflix, you still have to spend time and money promoting it, especially if it's not a Netflix original.
Yeah.
Because all I wanted was one tweet from their 6 million at the time followers, even if it was at 2 a.m, because it's on Netflix.
Right.
But to be fair though, they did email people about it. So I give them much props for that. I want to like to be fair. So people, when the special came out, people were emailing me, oh, it came up in my, whatever that algorithm is, people were like comedy, it came up in there,
How long was the Netflix special?
That's a hour special, just under an hour.
And then with
they had it for 2 years, and now it's on Amazon. It's a few places, on Stars as well.
Because I have to ask, do you because your stuff is so good, so when you get the Netflix special, did it cross your mind, like when you did the first dry bar, like, oh, do I do all new material? Do I use a mixture of both? And then with the second dry bar, where you're like, okay, now we're really getting down there, because or how does that, you know what I mean?
Right, that's a great question. So the Netflix special, it was mainly new stuff, but I allowed myself to do a few bits that I had done on, say, Conan before, because at this point you have to understand that it's not like, we're not like when comedy in the 80s where you did a Tonight Show and everyone in the country saw it,
Yeah.
So the Netflix special was mainly stuff that was like new, meaning it hadn't been done on TV, but really not new, meaning, I had been doing these jokes for, 2 years plus each joke, 2 years plus. Maybe there might be 1 or 2 jokes on my Netflix special that are like under a year old. That's super new for a joke. People don't understand because it takes a while to get it really nice where you want it. So the dry bar thing, the first dry bar special, I didn't take anything into account because it was explained to me, this is for like a clean comedy network, internet network, I thought, in Utah. And so just come out and do a clean 45. So there's some overlap because I didn't approach it like everyone's going to see this,
And that was the one that you're like, whoa, way more people are seeing this one.
Yeah. And there's a bit that I did on that has like 10 million views, maybe more. It was 7 million last I checked. And I did, and I did the Late Show with Colbert because they asked me to do that bit. So I did that bit on the Late Show.
What bit was it?
It's a bit about like naming your children and.
Oh, I know that bit. Yeah. I think I see. Yeah. At Comedy Magic, I may have seen it.
Right. And I make it about my niece. Her name is Skylar, but that was just my entry point. Like that, I actually did that bit like maybe 12 years ago, 15 years ago. I riffed it one night in New York. I was living in LA, but I was in a gym in New York. This is like going back at least 12 years, maybe more. Matter of fact, at least 16 years. I was at a gym in New York. I was at a Bally's, and this lady walked in, and she had 2 kids, and they were twins in a stroller, and they were like, oh, and she was catching up with people that she knew at the gym, and they were named. She was like, what are their names? And it was like, I think the names were like, it was either Remy and Martin, or it was like Hennessy and Remy, something like that. And so that joke could have went any way, because it could have went the way of like, oh, the babies are named after what she was drinking when they were conceived or whatever. So I riffed that joke for like 2 weeks. I just kind of talked about it, little riff. And then I forgot about it. And then so that was like I said, 15, 16 years ago. Then about 3 years after that, about 3 or 4 years after that, I started riding my bike in place. And I was like, let me listen to old sets as I ride my bike. So I popped in, I found an old set on my computer, and I'm listening to it, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that joke. And I brought it back, and then it became what it is now. And that joke is on my Netflix special, but the version on the Dry Bar special just blew up. And people know me for Dry Bar, which is weird because like I self-produced my Netflix special, and then distributed. And then Comedy Dynamic, we linked up together. So they kind of, you could say they produced it, but I mean, I brought it to their office already done, and then they helped me sell it to Netflix. Whereas the Dry Bar thing, I literally didn't, I probably did my set list on a plane, just flying up there. And I got there day of, no sleep. I did my little set list, and then, because what happened was they started taking the bits, and I started seeing the bits on YouTube, like individual. And I was at first a little bit like, I didn't know they were going to do that. I didn't, because it would have been a whole different approach. But God is good, because it worked out better. Because when he was splitting it up, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want them to do that. But them splitting it up, whatever their payment structure is, which I have the contract, obviously, but they've been good about sending residuals. So
that's good.
Yeah, it's like what they paid in the beginning wasn't a lot, but it was like, oh, whatever. It was like doing a weekend somewhere. That's how I took it. Like just like doing a weekend in Idaho, and
Yeah.
And I really thought, oh, this is gonna live in it's on some website in Utah, and that's it. And then they started like promoting it, and I was like, oh man, they're getting a lot out of this. But then the residual checks came, and I was like, okay. They're sharing a bit. So that's
by the
good.
way, that's so cool. I like watching your alarm clock bit this morning was hilarious. It's like,
oh, thank you.
I love the way the way you think, the way you write, the way you perform. It's just, I feel like I need to like take some more time and just watch a lot more of your stuff, because it's like,
oh, thank you.
It's really good. It's not, you know what I mean? It's funny. It's like just just the premise and the way you went with it, with like your friend being late because his alarm was too soothing, and then you started saying the names of the alarms on our phones, and then
right.
the old school alarm. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. When you were like, there's the nuclear option where it's like,
right.
I think you said, I've got to, you're like, I cannot oversleep, so I've got a surgery and then a wedding or whatever. It was
right.
It was so funny, man. I was like,
oh, thank you,
wow.
man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I tell people, it's weird. The best sets I've ever seen of comedy. 2 nights. One was Vinny Favorito in Boston at Nick's Comedy Stop. And I didn't know Vinny at the time. Vinny, I think he had lived in LA. I was living in Boston at the time. And Vinny did a 5-minute set and got an encore. Like, it was intense. 5 minutes encore. Like, he had to come back out. Like, I've never, even Dane, who just killed for 10 years straight, just absolutely killed. I've never seen an encore in a 5-minute set. But the other best sets of comedy, it was 3, and it was you, Ralph Harris,
Bobby Collins. No.
Bobby Collins. Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yes. Yes, he's Italian, right?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm in New York. He seems Italian, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
he does the $1 million smile and the hey kid.
Yeah, it was you. It was when Comedy Magic has their anniversary shows. So it was you. It was Ralph, and I think you went after those guys actually. So it was like I can't remember the order. I think you went last, but like everyone killed so hard that I already went on. I went to the audience and I was like, I felt fear for the next guy. Like that's how hard. And then the next guy would kill harder. It was 3. I've never seen it ever to that level. I believe it was I think it was like Ralph, Bobby, then you, but I'm not sure. You may have been in the middle, but I know I feared for the next guy, and you guys destroyed. It was just 3 5-minute sets that I've never seen. And I've been doing comedy 30 years or whatever. Everywhere, New York, I've never seen 3 people kill that hard, including black comedy clubs. I've never seen 3 people kill, because I thought the next person can't follow this. And then it went to another level. Then it went to another level. And that's when I think you riffed it. You did the whole thing with the highway and the guy robbing you and just break yourself. And it was just.
Yeah, I know. It was like, I totally remember that night. It's like an anchor in my mind. I remember, it was, and I've never been, because that was still kind of a new bit. And I just, basically the idea was, I was driving down the 710 on the way to Long Beach. And as soon as it said entering Long Beach, I remember my friend like, see, this is how old, because we were in a car where you would lock the door. He made sure the door was locked. I go, dude, we're going like 70. There's nothing. It's not like some guy. And then I started acting like I'm running. And he was like, break yourself. Like he's running down the freeway. But the way I did it, and it was just like the roar of the crowd. And it was like,
I had that happen to me once where I had a bit, I had a bit about being, this bit is 20 years old. So imagine, but about playing basketball, and somebody called me old school. And, but I had a bit about like, I said, after you score a basket, you feel good. You become the captain of the team. And it was like, I was in Hollywood, and I just, I did that joke, and everyone laughed. And then I did this just backtrack thing. It just a physical thing that, and I was like, yeah, after you score a basket, you become the captain of the team. And I went like, D up. And I backed up like this, and people lost it. And to this day, I don't know what I did. And I don't know, I could never capture it, but it was like, it was just sort of like, it must have been such an honest movement in that moment. And that's why I couldn't do it again and get the same laugh. But it was that whole like, backing up, D up, everybody get a man, get your man. And everyone, I could never, I can get a laugh, but never that laugh again. You know what I mean? And so I had another joke about how like people, this guy at an audition had like an iguana or something with him. And everyone's like, oh, your iguana's so cute. And I just thought about like how guys, like it used to be a dog, now it's an iguana. And like everyone's stepping up the game in terms of having a cute animal that everyone can, because it's really trying to get girls to just sort of flock to you. And I just, and I said this joke once and it got a big laugh. I could never produce it, but I was like, I can never reproduce it. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to start walking around with a panda. I'm like, yo, panda. And just, I remember telling my friend, and she cracked up. I could just never, whatever I said, and people don't understand. It's a comic. It's like, it's literally, you can say it like slightly different and never get the same laugh again, But that night though, that was, it's even though I forget the exact order, it's just in my brain is like, I couldn't believe how hard you guys killed.
It's funny you said that about the animals. I have to show you this. Look at this. See this guy? He has a bird. Oh, it's a hawk. Look at that. It's if it's gonna show up. Yeah.
Right. I see it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you get the idea. I made a YouTube video out of this. It was I was in the car with my son late at night. My wife was in the grocery store running to grab a couple things, and I see this guy and he's putting all this stuff on. Next thing you know, he has this giant. He puts his hawk on his arm. Wow. And I'm like, what is that? And I thought, you know what? I've been getting my YouTube thing going, been vlogging and stuff. So I asked him, I go, hey, do you mind? And he told me, I go, do you mind if and he goes, yeah, let's do a little 3. I go, this will be about 3 minutes. And apparently this guy was actually hired by the city. They bring and that was a male hawk. He said the females are like twice as big as the males. And they're hired to scare away the crows. Apparently the crows like defecate all over the parking lot and they ruin everything. So this hawk will scare away the crows. And I thought that was really interesting. And
that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. But it's his hawk. He like.
I think, you know what, I don't know if it's his own personal one, but that's what I thought it was at first. I thought he was just some weird guy that's like, I'm taking my bird out for a late night flight. But I asked him something. He said that they take a laser beam and he'll go like this, and the hawk will like chase the laser almost like a cat would. I go, are you about to do it? And he goes, no, because I'm getting ready, because apparently there was more birds in the back of his truck that I didn't even see that were like even bigger than that one. And
right.
I was like, wow, it's called a Harris's hawk. And if you guys are watching this, go to my YouTube channel and check out that vlog I did.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought something was really interesting. They do a thing called backstacking because the ground gets so hot out in the desert. He said one hawk will perch on a cactus and the rest will just stack on top of it, and the female will be the top one.
And so that one hawk kind of bites the bullet for the others, I guess.
Yeah, and like, you guys better thank me later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just realized that he said that the female is on top, but I mean, if she's twice as big, I mean, that's got to be like,
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like, why would she get to be? You know what I mean? But I guess it's like real life.
Yeah. And maybe she's so big, she's like kind of like looking around for predators. I don't know, but it's just it's like real life, Dwayne, we're gonna ask a couple of questions and we'll let you get on with your day.
Okay.
What is I usually ask these questions with guests of the podcast. What is something that you've recently purchased that's made you a little bit happier, like a recent purchase, something you bought that you're like, you know what, this makes me happy?
Oh, that is a good question. That is a really, really good question. Cause I think I have a lot of things like that. I don't like, buy too many things. Well, I guess I didn't recently purchase this, but I do have, during the quarantine, there's been the Peloton craze. And, my thing about those bikes is that they're quite expensive. And then you have to pay for the classes on top of that.
Mm.
So what I purchased, and not recently, but I am proud of it, is called the Trainer. So I have a bike. I have like a 10-speed, 12-speed regular bike. And this Trainer is just this little thing. It has a wheel on it. You put your back wheel into that Trainer.
Oh, it's cool.
And so you can ride your regular bike in place at home. And so I call it my Peloton. I'm very proud of that because it's like, I can also take my bike outside and ride. Can you do that with your Peloton? I don't think so. So that brings me joy. And then also I found the basketball and I just really like it. I haven't even played with it yet, but it's it's a FIBA basketball. So it's not like the FIBA International. It's International Federation of Basketball. It's like the European basketball. It's just shaped differently than ours, and I just like it.
How is it shaped different? Like that sounds strange to me.
That's weird. It's not. It's shaped the same. I apologize. It's
a soccer ball, buddy. No.
It has a different thing. I'll show you. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would say that about the basketball. Like I like a basketball with good grip because there's nothing worse than a smooth basketball and it just slips. I want one with a nice grip on it. Oh yeah, there we go.
So as you can see, this is like the regular basketball we use here. This is the official NBA indoor outdoor. This is my jam. This is what I've been using this to serve up suckers that that rawness.
Do the little walk.
Yeah.
Backwards walk.
Yeah, I've been using this to classes in session, serving up people, cooking them up. And then I found this ball. That's a little small because I looked it up. It's actually a girl size, but I plan on getting buying one. I just like the way it looks. I like the shape of it. I like the grip.
And it says GG6, I think.
Yeah. See, this is FIBA approved.
Oh.
FIBA is the European Basketball Association or whatever. The thing too is that the NBA tried to switch a while back. And NBA players lost it, and they were like, "No." So they had to go back. They had to go back to this ball. But they're shaped the same. You're right. It's not like this is a triangle or anything.
Yeah. For some reason, it's super easy to make baskets with it. Like,
Right.
you know, because it's funny up at the farm near Fresno where we've been staying a lot. It's the basket is, I want to say it's probably the rim might be 7 feet, right? So
Oh wow.
I think I can actually touch it. So I'm used to shooting on that. So, but then I went to what's the regular one? 10 feet?
10 feet. Yeah.
And it was weird to me. I'm like, whoa, this is like so much, because my shots were way off. The hole looked super small. It was like I couldn't even, you know. So
right.
My advice is if you want to be good at something, go with what the official measurements and standards.
Absolutely. But I will say this: if you have a child who's under 10, you should definitely start them with a smaller rim, a lower basket. I mean, because if they're trying to shoot on a 10-foot rim, they might develop bad form. They might just start chucking it up. So it should be relative to height until once you're 13, maybe even 10, then fine, use a regular rim. But before that, because you want the form to be good. Not that I have great form, but you want the form to be good. Yeah.
Okay, let's say you're at the free throw line and you get 10 shots. All right, Dwayne, let's see how many you can get out of 10. And I know you've probably played that game, you know what I mean? Where you're like, I'm not leaving until I get like X amount in.
Well, I'll say this. Yeah. If how many am I going to hit out of 10?
Yeah. Roughly.
Well, it's all about, the thing about basketball and life in general, it's not how much you shoot. It's not how well you shoot. It's how well you shoot when it counts. You see? So if right now, if I go to the court and I'm doing that, I'll probably shoot 4 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10. But if we meet tomorrow and I warm up today, then I might be able to get 6 or 7 out of 10. I'm not a great shooter. So I would say 6 or 7 out of 10 with a warm up. Whereas like my buddy Mark from Boston, shout out to Mark. I gotta give him a call, by the way, Mark Coyle. He would shoot 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. My brother-in-law is good with the 3-pointers. He can, and these weird angles, like he can be at the side and just be like, and fortunately he's like, I don't know, like 5'9" or something. He's kind of short. Right. So it's like, but he's good though. He's really good. And he's really good with the 3-pointers. And
oh man, that's the thing with all of our sports, except baseball, I guess. But even baseball kind of size matters a bit. But you can, if you're the greatest shortstop, you can be 5'5". But all our sports, hockey, basketball, football, size matters. So I like soccer because
I think even tennis, right? Even tennis,
even tennis,
better if you're because they're lanky
somewhat. Because if you're shorter, you have to make it up at speed with speed. You have to be able to, you know what I mean? But soccer is the one sport where like some of the superstars are like 5, and boxing because they have size restrictions. They have weight classes, but soccer, like that's the one thing I like. If you like, I've been watching the European soccer. I guess it's like the Euro Cup or whatever, and you see like when they're doing the national anthem, they pan across. And it's like this guy's this height, this guy's this height, this guy's that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. They I just saw that I believe the bantam world record was just broken for boxing. The oldest boxer to win a bantamweight title. Oh, wow. How old do you think? Any idea how old do you think he
He's not even that old. He's not even that old.
I know.
30,
when they
38.
said 38, you guessed it. That's right,
Yes.
38. Because I was watching Teddy Atlas talk about it, and I was like, I wonder how old he is, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe there's someone I can look up to. Nope, 38. Like, wow.
Well, the thing is, because there's weight classes, it's hard to be 38 because I'm looking up bantamweight right now, and it's like 115 pounds to 118 pounds. Like, you're not going to be 30. I don't care what height you are.
Yeah.
If you're over 5 feet tall, you're not going to be a grown man in his late 30s usually and only weigh 118 pounds. So like that in and of itself is a miraculous feat. Even if he's 5'5", 108. Like in shape you have to be. Like that's zero fat. You know what I mean?
I know. In closing, any words of wisdom, something you'd like to tell our listeners, our viewers, something you've learned along the way in life? I like that one you said earlier about you got to make it the shots count. What did you say again about the shots when they count?
It's like, it's not if you make the shots, if you make the shots when they count. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all about warming up. It's like with comedy, we've all been late for a show and you don't have time to get in that headspace. So you have to figure out a way to hasten your prep time. So maybe in the car, you're like, okay, this is the set list I'm going to do. I'm going to do these jokes. It's just about like focusing in. And I don't know, words of wisdom, I would just, nothing beats getting up early. If you get up early and you get a few things done before the distractions of life get to you, then you'll stay ahead of the game. So
that's funny. Says the guy who has a great bit about alarm clocks. Something tells me you're going to have a personal alarm sound with iPhone. You have some project behind the scenes. The Dwayne Perkins alarm clock. You saw him on Dry Bar with his killer alarm bit. Hi, I'm Dwayne Perkins and nothing else.
That's funny. I mean, I wish I were that good at marketing because that's a great idea, but no, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Dwayne, you're right about that because I used to get up super late, because I was a late night comic on the road and then the habit, like you said, the late night diners. And then something hit me about, I don't know, 5 years ago, which I'm a late learner. Maybe 7 years ago, somebody said, nothing really good happens after midnight. Like, he goes, if you look around at all the producers, the directors, even with show business, where I'm talking they're not really hanging around. Then it turns into something else. Like when you're, if you're out super duper late, most likely,
Absolutely.
And so I started kind of getting up a little bit earlier, but I still needed my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So I would I got to say during this pandemic, I definitely been getting up earlier. And you're right. Like you get so much done and then you look and you're like, dang, it's not even 10 a.m. yet. Like, I'm like, this is awesome. I've been stretching.
Right.
I've been
right.
All
exactly.
my stuff yeah.
Exactly. So, and what keeps me up now is sometimes like binge watching, which is ridiculous. You could just watch it the next day. So I have to be disciplined about that. And sometimes like watching a show and there's this crazy cliffhanger and it's like midnight. I'm like, oh, should I watch another one? Nope. Sometimes I do, but
Yeah. Dwayne, it was great to see you. Great to have you on the show. And
thank
please
you, man.
come back.
Thank you.
And this was a piece of cake, man. It was so easy to talk with you. And I wish you a lot of success. And thanks for taking part of your day to be on the Pocket Party podcast.
Thanks, Darren. Good to see you, man. And I hope to see you in person soon.
You got it. Okay.
All right,
bye.
man. Cheers.
We're done with this interview.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to the Pocket Party.